Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Underneath the Hood. I'm Dave Martin, the owner of Martin's Auto Repair in Central Phoenix.
I'm Glen Hayward, the proud owner of Goodworks Auto Repair in sunny Tempe, Arizona.
And I'm Lee Weatherby with Accurate Automotive in the heart of Mesa.
And together, we represent 140 years of combined automotive experience.
Our goal is to change the perception of our auto repair industry by going behind the scenes and underneath the hood.
And we hope to share with you what it's like to own a small business and give you a perspective from an insider's point of view.
So let's get started. Well, hello, Glenn. Hello, Lee. How you guys doing?
David, good morning to you.
Another great podcast.
Really great.
It's love hanging out with you guys. And hey, guess what we got today on our podcast?
Can't even imagine.
Turning your car into a fishbowl.
Whoa!
Well, it's getting cold here in Arizona. So.
Yeah. Guess what? We're going to talk about flood cars.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, flood.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I'm going to give you guys some statistics
Aren't those
here.
the cars you can drive through a flood because they're impervious to water?
Amphibious vehicles.
Yes, there we go.
Glenn, let me know how that works for you.
Yeah.
I'll be on the shore watching.
It's the new submarine model.
They got little propellers on the back.
Yeah. I think they made a car like that.
They did. Oh, hey,
Back in the
listen,
60s.
I've seen them
yeah.
in James Bond movies.
Yeah. Well, hey, I got some statistics here, guys, and to get our juices flowing here to kind of get this thing kicked off. According to Carfax, 347,000 cars flood damage in 2024. They had flood damage in 2024.
Whoa.
Okay, and over half of them, 180,000, were in Florida alone.
Whoa, that makes sense.
Wow, yeah, no kidding. Well, right by the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the
Hurricanes.
second most disastrous year for flood damaged vehicles.
Wow.
2022, there was 358,000 vehicles that were flooded.
Wow.
So there was a little bit more, but 347,000 is a lot of cars to be flooded.
It's a prevalent market.
And here you are, you look at this and go, so guys, what do they do with those flooded cars?
Well,
that's a loaded question.
That's a loaded
I loaded
question.
it, man. I filled that chamber.
You
Well,
teed that up, Dave.
I teed that
Well,
up.
I think we all agree we've seen many of those cars in our shops, right?
Absolutely.
They come in for some kind of a problem, electrical problem primarily, right?
Absolutely.
And, let's face it, the transmissions have been flooded with salt water. The engines have been flooded with salt water. We're looking for telltale signs for the sake of the customer. I mean, whatever they decide to do when they're done. But what we look for is corrosion because salt water is corrosive. And so they will get inside. Now, figure out this car's been underwater. So you've got electrical parts, you've got computers, you've got modems, you've got all different kinds of things that are in that vehicle, controllers that are controlling the window regulators, which are also made out of metal, which will become corroded. And at some point, they're going to fail. Those motors get flooded with salt water. They're supposed to be somewhat impervious to moisture, but salt water, it gets into every crack and crevice of that vehicle.
Well, and to your point, just like you're talking about, everything gets saturated. You know what I mean? Including
And
most
sometimes for
importantly-
days or weeks. It's
Absolutely.
not like it got dunked
Absolutely.
and pulled out.
Well, and it's the connections, it's the connectors. Like you say, some of these things are supposed to be impervious to water and stuff like that. We know that that's a fallacy.
That's
You know what I
fallacy.
mean? But at the same token, some of the telltale signs we see, especially here in Arizona, the first real key is rust. Guys, cars that come in when they've got
Yeah, we don't see that very much.
excessive amount of
Yeah,
rust.
yeah, we don't see
we're
that
just
very
like,
much.
whoa, okay, maybe we got to take
But
a good
sometimes,
look.
expansive cover-ups have been done. They'll take this underbody spray
Rubberized
on there.
undercoating.
Rubberized undercoating. They'll make it look like a peach,
Right. But you can still, the telltale signs are still there. You can still, sometimes it's just an aroma. You can smell something, the mildew from the carpet. Sometimes, you know what I mean?
We just had a detail. That's why.
You're pulling the connectors apart and you see all these green fuzzy things. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. There's problems here.
Chia pets growing in the back,
Whenever
the back seats.
Whenever you've ever seen water and electricity mix, it doesn't usually go really well in that end. And
I hope to never see that because I hear that kills you.
It might kill you. But that's what we're talking about here is these cars have been
Absolutely.
submerged in water and there's so much electronics on these cars that you're just creating a problem that may not be here today, but in a year from now, it might be there.
You bet.
One of the things that I tell clients, something simple that you can do is if you're out looking at a car and let's just say that, your shop isn't open and nobody's there to help you. one of the quick things you can do is just look up underneath the dash. We had a car in our shop that
Mhm.
we looked up underneath the dash, and there was a bunch of sand packed up underneath the dash.
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
there's only one way sand can get up underneath that dash,
You bet.
and that's only if that thing was underwater.
Floating.
Yeah, right. And
That's
so
right.
so we're in a situation where, we don't want you to buy that car because we know that it's going to be in our shop probably every other month with
Right.
some sort of a weird issue.
Right,
that's
and
gonna
then
be a
they're gonna, and then
problem.
we're gonna have to
You
take
bet.
the brunt of the blame. Well, you just fixed it. Why is it broken again? Why did
Yeah.
something else go wrong?
Yeah.
And we don't want to be the guys to say, "I told you so."
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you not to buy this car.
Yeah. Hey, we want to we want to alleviate ourselves from the gremlins, so to speak.
That's
you know what I mean,
gremlins. That's a
are-
good word.
are
Oh,
gonna-
that's a
are-
great
are
word. Yeah,
gonna,
that's what
Gremlins.
it is
haunt
too.
us. Yeah, it
It's-
really
it will
is.
haunt us.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
a gremlin in that
Yeah.
car
Yeah.
that will just be.
And it'll move from part to part to part. And
Yeah. Well, and the hard thing is, it's common sense isn't always so common, guys. And you know what? Sometimes, like you say, Dave, you look up underneath and you see, you know what I mean, the water line. Let's just
Yeah.
call it that. It's you look at it and you just go, oh my, this is not going to bode well. I mean, for future reliability. And if we let the customers know that, and then sometimes they still decide that I want this just because it fit the bill. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
fit whatever they were looking for. It was the right price, whatever the case may be.
They're
But-
always priced very low, and
Absolutely.
that's a telltale sign too
Yes.
that whoever is selling it knew that there was something. And one of you guys mentioned about these cars leaving Florida or Texas or wherever the hurricanes were, and where do they go?
Yeah. Well, they get sanitized. See, the problem is sometimes this is where the education is really important. So I'm really thrilled that we're getting an opportunity to expose this. But sometimes they sanitize, you know what I mean, the paperwork on those cars. So they take them from, let's say Florida. They'll run them up through Montana. Then they'll run them back through, let's say Vegas or Arizona or Nebraska. And, through all this basically sanitizing or washing of these titles, all of a sudden it comes back with an A-box title and you're like, whoa. And that can occur. I know a lot of times people think, well, no, because Carfax is going to know everything. But guys, if the cars, 50%, Glenn, I think you were sharing earlier, 50% of the dealers don't even utilize Carfax. You know what I mean?
And about
For reporting.
90% of privately owned shops don't report to Carfax. So you're not getting all the facts that you think you're getting from Carfax.
Well, and that doesn't mean it's not a great resource or tool. That's
It's
not
a
what we're
great-
saying at all.
no,
It
not
is a
at
great
all.
tool, and we
Yeah.
always look up Carfax
But
reports.
there are limitations. I think that's really all we want to
Well,
point out,
and-
especially in this particular case.
And we had talked about this too. Let's just say that you live in Florida and your car gets flooded, and you don't run it through your insurance because you just have liability on it. and that's it.
Absolutely.
And then your brother-in-law, he's a ex-mechanic, and he's going to go fix your car for you. And Carfax is never going to hear about that.
That's
So-
correct.
So that's the issue that you're bringing up there, and it is a valid one too. Carfax is a great tool, but there's not everything is in there, so you kind of got to do your own due diligence. You
Amen.
got to have
Mhm.
somebody in your corner, an advocate you used before, Lee, and that's exactly right. Find somebody that's your best advocate that knows something about the car,
You bet.
that can look that car over and keep you from buying it. And another thing I wanted to say is that being that these cars get flooded, we're in the perfect climate for those cars because everybody wants to run them out here because it's a drier, hotter climate.
Right.
So
It's a
there's-
dry heat, Dave.
It's a dry heat. Yeah, boy, do we know that, huh?
Yeah, that's
But
what I've
yeah,
heard.
definitely know that. So we end up getting a lot of those cars, and so you got to be really careful. And Glenn, you brought up a point about they're a lot cheaper. Well, anytime a customer brings a car to me that says they want to buy it and it's $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 cheaper than what the market's going for, right then and there, my antennas
Red
are going
flag.
up.
Raises an eyebrow.
Yeah,
It's a red
you're
flag.
like, okay, all right, let's.
Why are they giving this car away?
Yeah,
Yes.
because there's usually a reason for it.
You bet.
Totally a reason for it.
Good point. Excellent point. Because the truth of the matter is, everybody is trying to be fair, in most cases. Some people, more so than others. But boy, when you have a real deficit, you know what I mean, of what it should be and versus what it really is, that raises the eyebrow. And it actually, it's kind of a little cue that we need to really do the customer a solid service and inspect that vehicle. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And really maybe go that step to what you're talking about. Get underneath that dash with a flashlight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can pull the door panels. You can see where the water's been up inside. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just to your point, Glenn, where you're talking about it fills the motors and everything else. My goodness. It's they can't really hide. You know what I mean? I guess that's the thing.
Well, that's why they put lipstick on the pig to make it look
Amen.
good externally. But at the end of the day, you don't know what's behind you know, when
Curtain
you
number
start,
one or
What's behind
curtain
door number two,
you know?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You're right. That's exactly. It's buyer beware. And the thing of it is back to the advocate thing is find an advocate, go to your shop, talk to the people, build that relationship. You know, and Lee, you said this numerous times. Said, hey, we're just friends.
That's it.
And go to your friends.
Yeah.
You know, and find out and whatever their wheelhouse is or whatever they know. Get that information.
You bet.
Because the last thing you want to do is, you know, you don't want to buy a lemon that you're in, and we don't want it either. We don't want to see you every other month either.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. We hate it.
Well, and the hard part is if you get stuck with something like that, you know what I mean, being honorable people, then you don't want to release that to somebody else either. You know what I mean? But at some point along the way, someone's going to end up taking that loss.
Yeah, and it's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
So it's very important, and we just want to make sure that you buy something that is reliable, that we can continue
that
to
is
maintain.
safe.
Well,
Yeah,
and,
safe. Yeah,
more-
that's
more
a good
than
word.
anything.
Yeah,
and guys,
good word.
we're kind of talking around it, and it just kind of clued into me. The most important thing, you know what I mean, that somebody could do when they are looking to get a vehicle, even if they suspect or don't suspect, every time you're going to go make a purchase, get a pre-purchase inspection at your shop.
There you
know
go.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
Make sure, because we're talking about the trust and we're talking about the relationships and everything else. You know what? Bring it in. Let's take a look at it, because that is what our job is. That is how, you know, we can help and
It's our
provide
responsibility.
the best service.
Yeah,
You bet.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Take the onus of pressure off of them.
I love
Well,
that. I love that
we
you said
make
that.
and we don't make any money by saying, yeah, this would be a good car, because I mean, if we were dirty rats, we'd say, yeah, it looks like a good car, and then it's back for another repair and another repair, and then now they're questioning the integrity of the guy who said, yeah, this is a good car.
Dave, that's
So we don't want to step into that rabbit hole. You
Yeah,
know,
and Glenn, that's
It's
such
integrity.
A good point.
You used a good word.
You
integrity.
did.
Yep.
It's such a great point too, because like you say, if, you know, and that's a big little word, but if we were the dirty rats, you know, we'd say, oh boy, yeah, we can, you know, let them have this, and then they're going to constantly be back. That's not how we think.
It's not how you win
bit.
customers,
It's-
for sure.
Well, it's exactly like Dave said. You know what I mean? We don't want to see that. We don't want to
Every
see
other
that.
month.
It does no good for us to see that car, you know, every month or every week or every other month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like you say, it creates confusion in the customer's mind. You know what I mean? About, man, can they really fix my car? Was this a good car to buy
Did they
in the
really
first
have?
place?
Well, the question that that I would be asking is, do they really have my back?
There you go.
You know what I mean?
That's
Because
it.
that's the important
Absolutely.
thing. I mean, we rely on other people to have our back, and,
You bet.
and we don't want them to let us down. So we don't want to let our clients down, and so we want to make sure that you buy something that's solid, that's in good shape. And you know, we just want you to buy something that's really going to get you. And Glenn used the word safe,
Amen.
which I think is probably the best word. Is probably get you to where you need to go safely.
Yeah,
said,
safe
Dave.
and
Well said.
reliable.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Definitely, you can use the Carfax tool. It's really a great tool, and it's carfax.com/flood. So definitely look that up. Whenever you're looking to buy a car, definitely at least do that. Do your due diligence and look it up, and just find out if the car shows that it's been in a flood. But then also, like all of us have said so far at this panel, is that, hey, make sure you do due diligence. Bring it into your trusted shop.
There you go.
Have them look over the vehicle for you and kind of give you their opinion and their assessment of the vehicle. Don't rely on anything 100%. You know, do your due diligence, look around, and get 2 or 3 opinions.
Totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Well, guys, hey, it's been a great podcast, and it's been awesome, and I love hanging out with you guys and just giving that information out to our listeners, and
Make it a great day.
See you on the next episode.
look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode.
Mhm.